Okay. Hey everyone, Meteorologist in Tuttle. Been watching some of those storms all day today in two places, one in southern Oklahoma, one in eastern Oklahoma. Pretty much where we talked about how they redevelop in the broadcast from last night. Last night. So let's go ahead and get to that information. Okay, so this is the radar view out here in eastern Oklahoma. So we're out here near McAllister. So this storm developed over McAllister, but did not become tornadic until it got east of there, which is good news. The warning came out about 10 minutes ago, and it continues for a potential tornadic storm here around Blocker, heading up toward Quinton and also around Wilburton. So this is that area here. So if you have friends and family out here in eastern Oklahoma in this area, go ahead and give them a heads up. Say, hey, turn on AT. He's got you covered right now. So we're covering these storms out here. There are some other storms that have moved in the far eastern Oklahoma, up closer to Fort Smith. These are south of there toward, looks like Heavener. And there has been a wall cloud within this one reported, a couple of those, but no tornado yet. Then also in the eastern, from there to Waltrek out here in east of Fort Smith, out here in Arkansas, there is a storm out here that's had a hook echo with it, but no tornado as of reported yet. So right now, the only tornado warning in the state is this storm out here in McAllister. Now there is another group of storms down here in southern Oklahoma. There is one little hailmaker. We'll call it a hailmaker around Apache. That's all this is. The left-moving supercell running into an environment that's going to die out into. It should anyway. But down here into northern Texas, Montague, you've had a tornadic storm south and west of you, now over Bowie, just west of there. So very strong mid-level circulation center with this at around 6,000 feet. So that particular storm has been tornadic off and on its life cycle as it kind of moved out of Wichita Falls area. So you can see all these little tornado icons on the map. So this is all indicative of tornado touchdowns and reports from Storm Spotter. So it's been very busy in and around the Wichita Falls area here for late this afternoon and this evening, as those storms kind of developed originally around Frederick, Oklahoma, then moved to the east and southeast into Texas. So we have not seen any tornadic activity out of this in Oklahoma. This has all just been on the other side of the Red River, hanging down there in northern Texas. So just heads up with that one. We can take a look at that as well. This is going to be across again, not in Oklahoma, but in the North Texas territory. Let's see here. Look at a couple of details here with this one. So this is a good tornado warned storm as far as Doppler radar goes. Looking at all the products here real quick, just scanning through. On this one, wording for this from the National Weather Service that came out Southwestern Montague County in north central Texas until 9:15. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado located near Bellevue. Or let's see, 7 miles west of Bowie, moving east at 10. Very slow mover. Potential tornado with this one. No storm spotter confirmations recently with this one. Also some big hail, but some good circulation radar indicated. All right, so that's what's going on down there in North Texas. So back in Oklahoma we shall go. This is for our guys and our friends up here south of Eufaula. So if you're out near the lake Eufaula right now and you're having a good old time here for your holiday weekend, everything is south of you as far as the potential tornadic issue is concerned. You have a little thunderstorm though just on the south end of the lake, but there's nothing severe with that one. All right. Oh, new tornado warning then just issued. This is for that one around Heavener. All right, this will take it on into Arkansas here momentarily, but the warning on this from the National Weather Service, let's see, just came out a few seconds ago. Tornado warning for southwestern Sebastian County in west central Arkansas and east central Leflore County in southeastern Oklahoma. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado located over the Heavener Runestone State Park, moving east at 25. I may have butchered that name a little bit just because I hadn't said that town or that area in a long time, so memory's a little faded. I'll go look at my notes, but it's coming up toward Hartford and Patterson. So don't shoot the messenger for that. But you can take shelter if you live in that area. It's radar indicated tornado with this one. So that means it has not been sighted by any person. At one point, the persons were sighting some wall clouds with it, but right now the structure of it is all indicated by Doppler radar. Taking a look at that myself. Let's get a good look here. Good news is velocity data is extremely weak on this. The actual location of this one is, take this off, literally over some trees. Best place for it. All right. So a lot of times these type of events will be over farmland or tree land, and that's where this one is. So that's good news. But that'll be eventually heading up toward the town of Bates, Cawthorne, and potentially Hartford here in Arkansas. So if you have some friends and family live out here between those trifecta of cities, that's where they'll be eventually heading toward, staying south of Monroe here in Oklahoma. All right, so back to the other one here in you guys up around Wilburton, north of Goen. Let's see, track on this one. It's got two areas of circulation within this. The first one's kind of falling apart already. There's a back end was trying to redevelop. That's this guy back here. The other one was around this region, but it's dying out pretty quick. So we'll have to wait for the new meso to take over back here to see if it tries to produce another tornado. But for right now, as far as I know, it did not produce one, and it probably will not, the way things are looking right now in the short term. Also, let's see here. So we do have a few farmhouses in the path of this, very few and far between. Otherwise, it's a lot of trees, which is good. Road network on this. Let's see, do I have my thing loaded? Let's find out. I do. Alright, any road showing up. It's the south of D 1400, and man, slim pickings out here on roadways. East Road 1420 between those two. Coming up on the county line, also looks like 110, so 1110th Avenue. That's a mouthful for an avenue. Anyway, that's where that leftover circulation is. Radar estimates about hail size of about 1 inch in diameter. So I figured I'd get on here and let you know about this one out here in eastern Oklahoma. Watch it for a few minutes. See if anything happens out of it. Go back in time. Had a good little hook echo on it for briefly, looks like 3 scans. So roughly about 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. But it was never really had any good velocity data with it to confirm a developing tornado. Now remember, you will get a lot of hook echoes with supercell storms, but they don't always mean tornadoes. Matter of fact, very few of those do. And one of the limiting factors of why we're not seeing a good threat of tornadoes out of this is because the surface winds are anemic. They are very weak from a southeasterly direction, about 5 knots. And you get a supercell like this that feeds warm, humid air, it really needs to get those wind speeds up a lot higher than that. So that helps to limit the tornado factor. Same thing out here in eastern Oklahoma for this guy here. Even though it's got a good look to it on radar, wind field looks very, very sad. And sad is what you want when you're dealing with tornadic storms. Alright, so that's what's going on out there in eastern Oklahoma again. So if you guys just tuning in, everything looks good in Tulsa, everything looks good in Oklahoma City. We're just watching this lone little storm out here in southwest Oklahoma City. Let me switch radar views for that one. That's up here in Apache and Anadarko. It's a little hail maker. Hail size about 1 inch in diameter, so it has a history of producing about 1 inch size hail with that one. It's called a left-moving supercell. Left-moving supercells very rarely ever produce a tornado. Very rare. They're more usually built for hail producers because of the structure and the environment and the wind speeds and the shear. That's what they usually do. Very not common to ever see a tornado out of a left mover. You can on occasion, but boy, I think I've seen it maybe twice in my recollection. That's how rare that is. Alright, down here in North Texas, this stuff's still going strong around here in Bowie. So, tornadic thunderstorm for you guys around Fruitland. Be in your shelters in Bowie for that one. So if you have some friends just across the border in North Texas, give them a heads up. Still got a tornadic warned storm in their area. Let's take a look at another radar view. So, by the way, while that's taking a pause here for that, I just want to appreciate you guys, your support for AT's weather, both liking, sharing the posts I make, the videos, the live streaming, the open captioning, all that kind of stuff. Now for Facebook, it does offer some closed caption. You can also turn that on. Mine usually comes on by default for whatever reason. Whenever I'm looking at the app in a vertical standpoint, it may go away if you turn it horizontal. But for those that would need that function, you can always play with that. All right, I'm doing something here real quick. I don't have any of your comments on right now, so that's always dangerous. So I won't be able to see if there's something going on. There's a problem. But everything looks good on mine, I believe. Let's see here. Let's go back to this guy here. So again, 2 tornado warned storms in the state. Ironically, or not ironically, they're where I said they would form in our forecast discussion last night. Pretty much just near I-40 around McAllister, points east toward Fort Smith. It was a region I highlighted for potential development. And then I also mentioned that would stretch down from right about toward Ardmore along the Red River. So this would be the zone for potential tornadoes. But this was the hotspot we looked at yesterday in the data. So that worked out as far as forecasting goes. But of course, we don't want a tornado, but that's what's looking like out there right now. Let's see here. See if anything's changed in the look of these. No. And this one's still struggling. It's got a competition for another mezzo, so it's double mezzoed out. All right, let me do something while I got this up. Curious. When I worked in Tulsa at K-Toll, I memorized at one point all those town names in eastern, southeastern Oklahoma and how to pronounce them. But that was ages ago, eons ago. So I'm looking at my little cheat sheet. Heavener. I knew I wasn't doing it right. I just knew it. I had that gut feeling. I was like, this is not right. It's not how you say this town name. It was Heavener. Even though it looks like Heavener, it's Heavener. All right, well, there you go. I knew that was not gonna be right, but that's why I got my little magic cheat sheet. This guy right here, 1991, I think, was the date on this. All right, let's see here. So that little storm is struggling to continue on. Let me look upstairs. The signature of it is actually really impressive as far as reflectivity goes. So again, stay in your shelters for this one. South of Monroe, it's going to pass to your south by about 1, 2, 3, 4 miles. It was over that big block of trees earlier, if you recall. So it still is. I'll be heading up toward the state line here momentarily. Give it about another, let's see, what's the time on this one? We're at 8:50. So about 4 or 5 more minutes. Be getting closer to the state line. It's kind of a slow mover. A little hail with that one as well. I don't see anything velocity-wise too concerning. So I think, again, the saving grace for this one is the fact that winds are so weak and anemic in that area. Let's do this. Alright, so you see behind me here, this is the wind field coming into this storm. They're from the southeast at 5 knots. It's just not tornado producing surface winds. Down here along Texas, southwestern Oklahoma, they had winds from the east-southeast around 15, sometimes 20. So that was much more conducive down there for tornadoes. So that's why they had a lot more activity in that area. Now, the reason why these winds here are weak is because there's still remnants of a surface high that was kind of situated back here from that morning MCS. So that causes stable air, and it's just hard to get the atmosphere to destabilize in that same area in enough time to get things to get back into play. And sometimes in late May and in June, if you've got a very robust jet stream, that can happen. This time around, though, we did not. We're in a very weak, anemic jet stream, and that's really helped to limit our severe weather threat so far for this May, which is good news. Okay, so let me go back to the action. Let's see, why is this not changing? So let's try it a different way. So this particular storm, yeah, no towns involved. All right, what about this one? I don't think this one will either. Yeah. Okay. There was a new warning up here for Salisol. It's just as severe, but we'll take a look at that. Looks like there might be a cell split ongoing or just a new cluster. Let's see. Yeah, there's a dual cell in there. Alright, so some hail for you guys around Salisol and I-40. Same way with that one. Alright, so warning gets updated from the Weather Service on this particular storm. Coming out now usually means a tornado has been sighted when it turns purple. Let's see. So one has been sighted now. So tornado warning is in effect, continues for southwestern Sebastian, east central Leflore counties. Confirmed tornado now located 5 miles northeast of Heavener, Runestone State Park, moving east at 25. So that's going to be Hartford and Patterson in the path of this one into Arkansas. So it had a good structure on radar reflectivity wise, just velocity just didn't really quite come together. But out here, there is a little bit of limitation with the radar beam. You can see this here in the artifacts of the data. So the radar is located here. Let's change colors. Radar is located here, and there's a lot of mountains that block the data, which is why you get these huge gaps. See these huge gaps that come up like this and like this. So there's a lot of holes. So there's a lot of missing data that comes back in that radar beam. So it's not saturated like I like. So therefore, you don't get a good complete picture when it comes to important stuff like the wind speeds. Reflectivity is a lot more forgiving, so you can see the DBZ value is much better in some cases, but other important aspects sometimes are lost in that. It's always good to have ground truth. So that particular storm is south of this one that has developed in Midland. This is in Arkansas again. A hook echo was developed on this one. So they went ahead and issued a tornado warning. It's on the southeast side of Midland. Location would be right along Mine 6 Road. And looks like it's right over the lake. Come up on, let's see, what is this? West Highway 252, just north of there. So as a secondary developing tornadic storm. Back here in Oklahoma, Salisol, again, just a little bit of hailmaker for you. Let's let's see, no tornadic indications at this point in time. For you guys around Brent, keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, back down here and into Wilburton, this storm's kind of going in between Quentin and you, and it doesn't have any tornadic signatures at all. Still has an official warning on it though, so you never discount a tornado warning. Always seek shelter. And in times of a tornado warning, it's always the same. Center part of your home or structure, always the first floor, away from outside walls and windows, and you protect yourself as best you can. Make sure you take your important items with you that you would need, shoes being the primary. That's usually the number one injury after tornado strikes is injuries on foot, because people don't take their shoes with them or wear them when they're seeking shelter, and there's a lot of nails and stuff that get exposed from the debris. All right, let's go back and check in North Texas again here real quick. And Southwestern Oklahoma, there's the Anadarko storm. Looks weaker from the last time I took a look at it. And again, that's just a hail maker. And then down here in Montague, Sunset, Fruitland, Bowie, still a very nasty storm down here. My goodness. How far away is that? That's a pretty good distance. It's getting in that area, though, unfortunately, where you don't really get a good low-level scan. The beam's up around 7,500 feet. So you're sampling a very strong as a cyclone, but you can't get down low to see what's happening below that, to see if it's still a good tornadic signature. Regardless, though, it's a nice cluster of heavy thunderstorms there in Montague County. That would probably eventually, if it clusters out more southward, it'll probably clip Dallas-Fort Worth, the northern end, this evening. Otherwise, the bulk of this is going to be the north, between you and Red River. Okay. So again, got a couple of tornadic storms here in far eastern Oklahoma into western Arkansas currently. One was spotted at one point for the one that's in Leflore County, and this was like about 10 minutes ago was the spotter report. So keep in mind that tornadoes of that nature, he may have spotted one, it may have lasted for a few seconds and then it was gone. So it could easily have been just a quick, 5-second touchdown and then it's done. Doesn't look all that impressive on radar when it comes to velocity data. Usually the data looks way better when you have a confirmed tornado on the ground. And I hate saying that, that's redundant. When you have a confirmed tornado by definition is on the ground. So that's actually a pet peeve of mine that I violated. Anyways, all right, let's see. So you guys up in Lake Eufaula, you're still okay. Storm to your south's not doing a whole lot when it comes to anything devastating. Just got a little bit of hail in it. Heavy rain, wind, lightning. Still residual tornado warning on it, which probably should expire here pretty soon. Let's see, 9:15. Yeah, about another 5 minutes or so. And they probably might let that expire just because there's really nothing that's been with it for a long time. So an update on this. Tornadic circulation. Is still over open tree land. That's good. I don't see any farmhouses in the immediate path. It's also good short term. Let's see, another 5 minutes. There is still no houses. Good. As you can tell, I do this part of it a lot, both for my sanity and yours. I could scream up and down, tornado, 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 and if it's doing nothing but just hitting some trees, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. Now, if it's obviously going into a populated area or there's some houses in the path, then that's a big deal. Alright, we'll keep an eye on that one, but again, it's only got about 5 minutes left of the original warning, and we'll see what these others look like here, crossing the border. The look on this one's changed quite a bit. So that's good. Still too broad and diffuse as far as the tail end of it is what you would look for quite a hook echo. This one, however, still hooking up pretty good. So it's got that look to it that goes like this. Right here, that's your hook. And then it spans out. Kidney bean shape. But the corresponding velocity data with it is all linear. And that's good. It means that there's not going to be a tornado with that at this time. But the warning continues. So again, continue to stay in your shelters if you live near Huntington until the storm passes by you. It'll do so here just a moment from now. And then it'll be back out over some more open territory. Let's see, the other one is still going back over trees between Hartford and Bates. So that's good news. Literally. Alright, let's go back up to this one. This one's going over a creek bed now. Let's see, it does have a couple of farmhouses along the way, so good news it's not producing a tornado right now. But again, stay in your shelters just in case that changes. But we're over here now in Arkansas. This is western Arkansas. So let's see, we're going to keep an eye on this guy here in case he does something. And then this guy up here in case he does something, but neither one of them look impressive at the moment. And then this guy here, he's starting to look a little better, but we're at 4,000 feet. Warning's set to expire in 2 minutes. How far away is that? That is the closest radar. This guy's still got a good mesocyclone with it. In other words, it's still spinning. Alright, again, nothing in Tulsa, nothing in Oklahoma City. Got a little storm down in the southwest, which you can probably see some lightning from if you look down that direction. But I want to show you what's happening with this one. It's falling apart, it's dying out. So if I can put this into motion, it comes up to the northeast, and you can see a lot less red on the map, which means that its intensity continues to diminish and dwindle. So it won't last probably for about another 15 minutes, and that thing's toast. All right, back down here into North Texas is the other area of concern. Just a really strong supercell storm down here with a history of producing tornadoes. Going through the Bowie and Fruitland area right now. That'll be heading up toward Gainesville, looks like. Gainesville and Valleyville in 35, and of course we all know that's a very populated area, a lot of businesses, so this will be something to watch pretty carefully. The track on this one, again, that's still over an hour away. It's literally probably an hour and a half away, unless it speeds up. Let's see. Still Doppler radar indicated tornado. Hail up to 2 inches in diameter. Moving east at 25. Let me do something. Alright. Let's go back over here, eastern Oklahoma. So this particular circulation center is getting out of that tree area here momentarily. Ash Creek Road and Northwest 1035th Avenue will be the intersection. And then from there, cross over a Junior Glen Road and Frank Glen Road, and then up around Highway 2 a few more minutes after that. So that's the path of this mesocyclone with the wall cloud with it. I know at one point they were sounding sirens in Wilburton. That was a long time ago. The storm's moving really slow. Another storm popped up here west of Tallahassee, and that one that we had far east is now pushed in Arkansas, starting to get a bit better organized as it crosses over south of Hartford. So you guys between Hartford and Cawthorne, stay in your shelters. And then this one up here around Mansfield just never quite got together. That's good news. And actually this other storm what happened was it looks like the inflow of this storm here is sucking in the outflow of this storm, which is usually cold, dense air. Once you get a supercell in the south interfering with the supercell to the north, and once that happens, it kills off the inflow, the strength of that northern storm. So this southern storm's killing the northern storm. And that's great. It's good timing. But that just means that this southern storm down here will be the one to watch as it continues to move in this direction. All right. Little storm there, Panama, and that one in Sallisaw is actually falling apart quite a bit. And then it's got some new development south and west of there. Let's see, we're 9:18, so they must have reissued the tornado warning. They did. They're going to keep it going. Northwestern Latimer County and southeastern Oklahoma until 10 o'clock. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado located 3 miles west of Roberts Cave State Park, moving east at 15. So a lot slower than the other one. The other one's moving at 25. This one's moving east at 15. That's why it seems like it's been sitting here east McAllister forever. It's just not really moving. And with that very slow moving at 15, And that inflow of 5 knots, it's just really hard to get a tornado. See, this is a, I don't know if you can see that right here. There's a mesonet up there, 73 degrees over 72 dew point with the east wind at 5 knots. Let's see, gust to 7. 5 miles per hour, excuse me, not even knots, I'm sorry, miles per hour. I got knots, meters, kilometers, miles, all in my head, all at the given time, using all these different tools and programs. Anyway, gust of 7 miles per hour. So again, that's not good if you want a tornado. Of course, we don't want one, so that is good. I gotta always switch my brain from meteorologist to, oh no, I don't want this to happen. So we're programmed to, think severe weather, what it takes to make it happen. So we look for things to make it happen. So if you want this to happen, you have to have this to happen. So we talk in that aspect behind the scenes to each other, and then in training and class and all that. But in public, you got to switch it and go, from this is good to this is bad or whatever. Still got a little notch on it, so still got some healthy mid-level rotation up around 4,000 feet. It is a little engine that could, but luckily I don't see any other indication that it's doing anything more than just mid-level circulation. And that's fine with me. Alright, let's go back down to Texas real quick, in Oklahoma. So this mess continues all along North Texas, right around the Red River. Those are all these towns, Wichita Falls, Ryan, all these guys are just both sides of the Red River. And the only tropical storm in all this mess is the one right here, and just now east of Bowie and Fruitland. That's where that circulation center is. And it's moving to the east. I think I may switch sites here. Let's see how this does. Algorithms on here have a probability of a tornado at 41%. However, I've been using this a lot this year. I started last year. These are experimental products that they're going to try to incorporate to make automated warnings take place and be easier. But they got a long ways to go, because early we had that around Wichita Falls during those tornadoes, it had anywhere from like a 4 to 10% chance of producing a tornado, and yet it was already doing it. And then whereas like this will say 41%, they may not even be doing it right now. It's just kind of how this thing goes. So some more tweaking in order. Just another tool, but that's a big storm down there. It's got a lot of wind with it regardless. Let's see, where are we at the height? 6,000 feet. Yeah, we're still too high up in the air. So we won't be able to get a good low-level scan with that for a while. Alright, let's go back to Oklahoma. We do still have an official tornado warning in the state. It's over here east of McAllister, coming up on Robbers Cave Road and Highway 2. Is the residual circulation for this. So it's still got a pretty decent mesocyclone with it. Mesocyclone is just the part of the storm that rotates. Probability of a tornado 8%, hail 42, wind 72. far as rotation tracks, there are none. It's got some good hail with it, like I said, a little over 1 inch in diameter. Let's see, does not have any debris signatures with it, so no indications of any tornadic activity with the touchdown that would do some damage and pick up debris, so that's good. It's especially at nighttime, that's really the best indicator that you A, have a tornado, and B, it's doing damage, because these algorithms from the radar will detect non-meteorological targets. So non-meteorological means no moisture, no water droplets, so in the form of either rain or hail. It picks up everything else other than that. What we would normally filter out, we now put it back in, and we give it a different product. And this is basically what you call, in slang terms, the debris product. That's called the cross correlation coefficient. It's a mouthful, but it's basically detecting the horizontal and vertical axis of the radar beam. So instead of old school radars, which always have just a horizontal beam, it has both horizontal and vertically polarized. And so what it happens is it takes those objects that it hits and it measures as best it can within this axis and this axis. And the difference in the variations on the size and the shapes, we know it's not going to be perfectly spherical, then it's not a raindrop. So as much offset there is in that stuff that's being measured, the more of a signal it gives off that it's not rain. And the stronger that signal that it's not rain, the stronger the signal that it's something else of concern, which would be flying debris. So in a nutshell, that's how that works. All right. So if you're watching here in Oklahoma City going, okay, what's the deal? We have anything to worry about? The answer is no. Now, models did have some elevated thunderstorms as we approach midnight tonight, because there is a boundary in place. Matter of fact, let's go look at that real quick. Let's see where it is. It should be on top of this. Yeah, still is. So it is a very weak diffuse. You can call it a cold front, you can call it a wind shift. There is a little dry air behind it, so technically it would be a cold front, but we're looking at about, where are we? Something like this. Just drawing it on the fly. Let's see, where are we? 63. Something like that, where temperatures are in the 70s south of it, cooling in from the 70s and the 60s north of it. And once you get good enough distance, you get back into the low 60s for dew points. Those are the green numbers. Low 60s, low 60s, low 60s. On the other side of it, you're in the upper 60s, 67, 69. There's a 70, a 70. These are 63, 61, so I probably could have done something like this to be more accurate. But that would be the focus, to get some elevated thunderstorms to develop in that area. Let me check the cap though. The cap today was pretty big, which is why we didn't see storms here. Let's see. All right. So, interesting. So behind my head, way over here, any storm in this environment would be around producing 2 to maybe even 3-inch size hail. That's what that little box up here. Maybe if I go on this side. There we go. That little box right there. It's on a 2 to 3-inch category of hail. Classic supercell structure, check. Weakness though in the middle level of the winds, which means you'd have some collapsing updrafts of sustainability. Low level winds also a little weak, which correlates here to the wind field in the balloon launch. So it's about 10 knots here, then goes to 15, then 20 by the time you get up to around 3,000 meters. So a little weak down here for anything too crazy. But the significant hail, when they throw this in the database in the past, does come up with hail sizes anywhere from tennis ball to, good grief, almost grapefruit size. That's crazy. So thank goodness we don't have any storms in this environment. Capes are still plenty high, 4,000, no cap. So the cap was actually weak according to this, which is interesting, because we didn't get any storms on that weak boundary. So usually if you don't have a cap, all it takes is a weak boundary to get storms to go. Now you have to have a little convergence along that boundary, and that may have been a limiting factor. If we look at this, we have southeast winds at 5 knots and a northeast wind at 5 knots. So let's put this into motion. Okay, so you get a wind that's going like this, right? This wind right here is null, basically zero wind, null, zero wind. Then here's a northeast wind at 5 knots. So you need convergence, and this convergence along this boundary is stupidly weak. It's basically non-existent. So you had a boundary that all it had to have probably was 10 knots on either side of it, with the winds actually going toward each other together, and you'd have had some parcels of air rise and produce a thunderstorm. The other issue we had was we still had some overall subsidence from that cluster down south. So let's take a look at that. So in this cluster of storms down here into northwest Texas and northern Texas, the blow-off of this activity here, which is a cloud shield outside, actually has sinking air properties with it. So whereas you may not have had a low-level cap, you have overall subsidence, which is air that sinks. So if you have anemic air trying to rise from this weak surface boundary, and it's just not getting a good push at the surface, and then you've got heavier air coming down, sinking down, it's going to win out over the uplifting air, so you don't really get any storms to go. So actually everything worked out perfectly to not get any storms here in central Oklahoma. It's good. But they do continue out here in east, and they do continue way down south. Let's see, anything else jumps out at me? There is still a little bit of a mid-level cap up here, small one. So when temperatures cool from this sounding time of 82 degrees, which we are now down to 74, then that cap is sitting right there ready to block it again. So we had a very small window. We were in the low 70s, or excuse me, low 80s, or mid 80s, but that's long gone. But you still could get maybe some elevated instability in this area. The models had hinted at that earlier to kind of get some elevated storms to go, which have a little hail in them, but they're just not doing anything right now. What time is it? It's 9:30. Hey, it's time for the forecast. Let's just do it. Let's see what some of the new data says. They didn't do it good at all today. Matter of fact, one of the models that I like, thank goodness I didn't believe it last night, it got even worse today, and that was the tech model. I usually like to side with it, especially when it sides with the NAM, but I didn't like what I didn't like what I was looking at, and so I was like, yeah, I'm not buying that. So let's see, this is what it did today. It produced all these supercells here in just south Oklahoma City, central Oklahoma, nothing in North Texas, nothing in southwest Oklahoma. And then these things move right in here in the metro at midnight. Just a line of supercell storms. I mean, if this were to pan out, it would not have been a pretty evening around here at all. I mean, this is a horrific output for destroying your fun this evening. And they would have moved all south over that, but it stunk it up so bad. Now tomorrow it's going to give another shot of here out in western Oklahoma. You see that? It's got some storms out here crossing the panhandle, supercellular in nature, late afternoon, then they just magically vaporize by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Now usually that's a signal that the caps are really too strong and they don't continue. But this model's having some serious problems. And then here's Sunday. let's see, here's Sunday, couple showers around, late afternoon out west, also southeast, and then some more storms Sunday evening. So, like I mentioned before in the forecast from last Sunday to my lives this week, it's not a washout period. It's just we got some storms around that we have to kind of deal with for the holiday weekend for a few of us. All right, let me go to the other suite of models. Let me go back to that, before I do that, let's go back to that tornado warning storm. See if anything's changed. Let's see, this is the Arkansas mess out here. Northern storm is still jacked up because of the southern storm. Southern storm still has a good hook echo on it. No decent velocity data with it though. Again, out in the middle of kind of the tree domain. Alright, then we're back out here in Oklahoma. Those storms are just regular old thunderstorms. Tallahena storm is starting to get its act together a little bit. I would be surprised to see if it had a little mesocyclone starting to develop back here on the northwest side of Albion. So we might be getting eventually a tornado warning out of this just because of the look of that. That's going to be probably another, I'd give another 10 minutes before that happens, maybe 15. That's got to tighten up a little bit more. And this guy up here, let's see what it's doing. Wilburton, again passing north of you, south of Quinta. Still got a good mesocyclone with it at 4,000 feet elevation. But nothing that screams anything too crazy, which is good. So nothing radar which is concerning. Location of this, let's see what's left of it. Still over Highway 2. And it's just north of this red line. So let's see, what does this little road show up? There we go. We got Wildlife Management, northeast 173rd Street. So just south of there in Highway 2. That's what the residual of that wall cloud probably is still hanging out. There's been no confirmation sightings. Weather Service update. Still says the warning continues because it could be capable of producing a tornado. Moving east at 15. And just over Roberts Cave State Park. So that's the latest with that one right now. So no change since the last we've been looking at it. All right. If it gets a lot more serious, I'll spend a lot more time on it and let you know. We'll track it minute by minute. I think the other thing is it was over a bunch of trees, and it still is. Yeah. So, like I said, just keep an eye on it. All right, let's go back to forecast. So yeah, spotter near Roberts Cave reporting looks like a funnel maybe over Highway 2. So right where you talked about. So that's good. That means it's not a tornado. There can be a funnel all day long just dipping out, a little finger or whatever. As long as it doesn't touch the ground, it's not a tornado. That's good. Let's keep it that way. Let's get that funnel out of here. Okay. Let's go see what is brewing for tomorrow. All right. Oh, you know what? Let me go to this one first. Okay, let's see if I can get a close-up view of this. There's one. Okay. It's got those clusters of storms in southern Oklahoma. Notice it doesn't even see the storms in eastern Oklahoma. Listen, guys, you have no idea. Models are terrible. I use them to show you kind of what's going on in the output. But if you were to forecast just based off a model only, and this is your output to work with, you wouldn't do a very good job. So this one is, I'm really just going to throw it away. as if it doesn't even have the current event nailed down, there's no way it's going to know what the future holds. It's got some new pop-up stuff here in southwest Oklahoma overnight to tomorrow morning. That might still be somewhat accurate. I'll have to look at some other data. And it's got some new storms late Saturday moving into western Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma by the overnight hours and a Sunday morning. And then there's Sunday afternoon storms in southeast and northwest. So it's kind of similar to the tech model we looked at, honestly, overall with the Saturday Sunday time frame. All right, let's do this. Okay, so this model also had no idea there's any storms in eastern Oklahoma. Completely clueless of anything out here. Regardless, those things move east, south, supposedly. So no more stuff in southwest Oklahoma overnight into tomorrow morning. Let's see, it's got some storms out in western Oklahoma by sunset that vaporizes. And then we've got residual boundaries kicking stuff off in eastern Oklahoma Sunday afternoon. And we got some more stuff out in the Panhandle Sunday afternoon. So again, Oklahoma, we're really not doing all that bad for the storm system overall for the weekend. And wind shear should be fairly weak still. Let's see, let's check out the wind shear in eastern Oklahoma for Sunday afternoon. And then while that's doing that, we'll check out the wind shear for Saturday afternoon out here in western Oklahoma. So eastern Oklahoma, that model does have a tornadic profile with it, supposedly. And then out in western Oklahoma has it could be tornadic. It says severe, just because it has more of a south wind at the surface to 850 millibars. But if you get any turning at all, that can easily change. But it does have some big hail with that as a result for western Oklahoma Saturday. So wind shear still over the weekend is adequate for more severe weather is the take home of that, in case you're wondering. Just have to keep an eye on a rogue or freak tornado event. Otherwise, a little hail, a little wind. Our standard protocol for May. Alright, let me go into these CAM models. CAM models, which are made for severe weather, believe it or not. They stunk too. Well, right now they've got a hurricane down here in southern Oklahoma. Not really, that's just a very strong air of low pressure that just erroneously was placed there. Wow, they didn't know about eastern Oklahoma either. That is impressive. I have never seen every single convective model fail at doing their job. This has hardly anything, period, for the whole event. I'm gonna throw that away too. So far, I think I've thrown them all away. I haven't kept one yet. It's gonna make my forecast a little more difficult. All right, what are we doing here? That one's no better than the other CAM model. Oh, they're all terrible. This whole thing's terrible. I got. You know what? I'm gonna stick my head out the window. That's what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do. Let's see. This thing's still working. Oh, maybe I can do that. Is it showing? I don't think it was that. Hold on. I'm looking at something. Oh, 28. Come on, you can do it. was going to do something, but it's not working. Technology. Okay, where was I? Well, I was throwing all the models away. That's where I was. What I'm going to do with this. Alright, so we'll make this easy. We're going to make this easy, right? Oh, you know what? Let me look at something. Let's go back. Alright, so this is the short term. This is probably the only mouse getting anything right. Alright, just so you know. But I didn't go out that far. Let me go back another hour. It's our super short term model. This thing only goes out a couple hours. It's been in testing phases for a couple of years, and what it does is it takes reality, inputs reality into a very high set of model parameters for convective initiation development, which is similar to the other ones we're using, but this is in real time, updated every 5, 10, 15 minutes. So it's constantly getting updated, fed the reality, so it doesn't have to get off track. In other words, it's being spoon fed and handheld, and when it does, hey, it does fairly well. These other models, they're not spoon fed and handheld, so therefore they don't know what's going on half the time. All right, anyway, so this is going to go on. It's going to have these little storms that we'll watch out here in eastern Oklahoma and the ones down here in Southwest, and we're going to see how it does. Okay, so those keep continuing out in eastern Oklahoma. They hold together during we're at 0, 8, 9, 10 o'clock hour. Those ones down in southern Oklahoma are now into North Texas. They continue down there through Dallas through the 11 o'clock hour. Now we're at midnight. Those still going around Fort Smith eastward, and those ones down across North Texas still hanging in there through the rest of the overnight hours. And there's nothing new in Southwest Oklahoma. No new development. Contrary to those other models which had new development. I'm more likely to believe this one than the other ones because the other ones didn't know what was going on to begin with. So, throwing those out. So that's how things ought to progress over the next few hours here. Let's go back, take a look at this, see if there's any updates for this storm. So, a hook echo has redeveloped. Look at that. In the last 1, 2, 3 frames. Current frame now has a new hook echo on it. So that's the new mesocyclone area. We'll see if anything comes of that. It's new, so give it a moment. Down here in Talihina, there's that hook echo I said would be trying to develop. And there it is. So look for a tornado warning to come out of that here momentarily. Even though it may not produce a tornado, it looks like they've been being proactive since it's nighttime in issuing tornado warnings. So if that continues, I would expect one out in that area. And the ones down here in Arkansas, these are still a cluster of garbage because they ran into each other and can't get their act together, but there's still warnings are going to be remaining on them though. This tail end one around Mansville still has the best shot at producing a tornado with the hook echo on it. Poteau Mountain Road is what's trailing right up along, and it's right over trees. Nothing but trees. Perfect spot for it. Good. All right. Let's see. Where else am I going? All right. So, this new developing tornado for stormy eastern Oklahoma, give me a road to work with. Nothing. Okay, well, eventually it's going to get over something that we can designate it with, road-wise or marker-wise. But right now, it's over trees. We'll come back to that. That's all I can tell you. It's over trees. I can tell you it's about, as a crow flies, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 miles west-northwest of Red Oak. Should pass north of you. It'll probably pass along Highway 82, about 2 miles north of town, maybe 2.5, 3. So I can tell you that. Otherwise, it's over trees. Okay, so let's see. Do I want to go back to Dallas? What's happening down here? Anything? Looks like they issued a new watch. Yeah, a new severe thunderstorm watch for that. This storm's still chugging. It's been moving slow though. It's got a ways to go before it gets to Gainesville. Okay, and then yeah, that was it for that. Okay. Where are we at? 3,400 feet. We're getting down lower. Talihina. You have a mesocyclone over town, which is middle of rotation, and you might even be seeing a wall cloud at this point with this structure. You should be seeing a wall cloud, but you will not be seeing a tornado yet. Hopefully, thank goodness. There's no warning on it for it, which is why I'm saying that. The velocity data is very weak. It's a weak couplet in that area, but it's in the right spot, so we'll see what happens from the Weather Service. Give it some more time here. I think I said, 15 minutes, and that was probably 10 minutes ago. Oh, so what they did is... Oh, they did issue a tornado warning for that. Did they? Yeah, they sure did. Alright. The tornado warning has been issued for Talihina. This just came out. So, it may take a minute to show up on my graphic here. I wonder why they didn't show up. Weird. Oh, there it goes. Alright, that was too fast. So there's your tornado warning for Talihina. So Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for southwestern Leflore County and southeastern Oklahoma until 10:30. Radar has indicated a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 3 miles south of Talihina, moving east at 20. We've got Talihina, the Talihina State Park, and Whitesboro in the path. All right. So those of you folks that are watching, you go, how'd you know it was going to happen? Because that's what I do. And how'd you know it'll be in 15 minutes? Because that's what I do. So I look at the storms. I know visually what they look like, even though I can't see them. I know what they look like structure-wise, and I know what they look like on the radar to coordinate the two. So based off of trends and patterns of how things go, I can give you then a best estimate on the outcome. And then that's predicting that the Weather Service will issue a tornado warning in a certain amount of time, then that includes that. Will I get them right all the time? Probably not, but should get the most of them. So just stay in your shelters though if you live on the south and east side of Tallahena. Let's see, crossroad intersection is going to be right around 4501. It's County Road 4501 and East Road 1590. That'll be coming up on Highway 63 here within the next couple of minutes. Another intersection is going to be Blag Road, Charcoal Plant Road, and East 1590. So if you're watching and live in that area, that's exactly where this developing tornado would cross over in that vicinity. Now again, this is a radar indicated development of one. It's not been visually indicated. Alright, the one over here in Red Oak, the hook echo is already starting to fall apart. It lost its good signature it had earlier. And I believe it was allowed to go into a severe thunderstorm warning instead. Yeah. So they're going to allow that tornado warning to expire, and they're going to let the severe thunderstorm warning take over, looks like. Alright, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that one. Let's see, anything else going on? Nope. Let's see this one down here in southern Arkansas. Not southern Arkansas, it's south of Fort Smith. Still over the trees, still a weak rotation area. Probability of a tornado is 7%. Otherwise, hail was quite significant on the probability side of almost golf balls, about 1.5 inches in diameter. So there you go. And yep. Okay. All right. And that was in Arkansas. So we've got 2 tropic storms warned here for Oklahoma. Storm Prediction Center did issue a MCD. Let's go read that together. Threat for large hail, strong winds, and a tornado or two continues. That's the summary. Several supercells ongoing north of remnant outflow boundary. Environment remains favorable for severe hail and wind gusts, as well as the possibility of a tornado or two. Recent reports of severe hail and a tornado in Leflore County, Oklahoma, suggest that threat for severe weather will continue for a few more hours despite the loss of surface heating. Moist conditions, surface dew points in the upper 60s to low 70s are supporting Cape values of 2,000 to 3,000 joules with little sin, in other words, no cap. The robust instability and sufficient vertical shear of 40 to 50 knots should continue to support supercells across much of eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. Primary threat will likely be large hail, owing to a steep mid-level lapse rate of 7 to 8 degrees and the supercell structure storm mode. However, the discrete nature of the convection and the low-level shear of 1 to 200 meters per second will continue to support low-level mesocyclones with the potential for a tornado or two through the evening. Did that make sense to you? In other words, it's still going to be stormy on eastern Oklahoma. All right, let's go to this guy down here for southern Oklahoma and North Texas. Severe threat will continue to the mid to late evening. Large hail, wind damage, and a couple of tornadoes possible. Now, they did put a big chunk of that in central or south central Oklahoma, but as we looked at the data, it all indicates North Texas. Severe threat will continue through the mid-evening hours. A couple of tornadoes possible. Growing convective cluster is ongoing south of Red River. This cluster is located near maximum instability. Near 4,500 joules. Strong instability combined with shear 40 knots, evident on the Fort Worth. Radar will be favorable for supercells with large hail. The more vigorous updrafts may produce hailstones greater than 2 inches in diameter. Tornado threat will exist with the more dominant supercells within this cluster. Severe threat should gradually transition eastward across North Texas over the next few hours. Severe threat may also occur, here we go, in far southern Oklahoma. In addition to the large hail, a wind damage threat could exist and may increase as cells gradually expand in coverage and become more linear in nature. Alright, so that box area was just to include really southern Oklahoma. For little wind and hail, for those storms that kind of skirt across the border. All right. Let's go back out here. Yeah, the storm's lost its structure quite a bit. Alright, so this one here, Whitesboro, still looks pretty potent. We got dueling mesocyclones, though. Old and a new. So we'll have to see if anything new comes out of this guy here. In this area. There's an older, more mature mesocyclone back in this area. This would be the new hook that would form. So it's in its infancy stage. Alright. And then this guy here, he just kind of just fell apart. Look to him. Okay. Guys over here in Arkansas, they have dropped the tornado warning and just went with the severe. Because that thing was just not doing anything. Wait, why did my... How did this happen? I'll never understand. Okay, that should fix it. There we go. Weird. Alright, I was looking at the open captioning deal. Okay, back out. Where are we? So the tornado warning for the Red Oak storm has dropped off, so it's just as severe at this point. So now we're just down to one tornado warning in the state, and that's for this guy here, which is now a little disorganized because it's got two areas of mesocyclone activity. The one region is going to be, let's see, Valley Drive and East 1570 coming up on Cutoff Road. The new one that formed south of there is still on East Road 1590, and that's going to be coming up on Flag Lake Road, but it's past the charcoal plant road. Neither one are overall impressive as far as velocity data goes. Probability of hail 43%, probability of wind 77%, probability of a tornado 8%. Again, the storms here are suffering from a lack of strong low-level wind fields. Wind fields, there, closed captioning. Open captioning. Alright. It won't get all my words right. Okay. The tornado warning for North Texas and that storm in Gainesville has been dropped. It's lined out into more of a wind maker. So it's gusted out here. Let's see, it's had some wind of reporting tree limbs, some other debris in the road, building damage, some flash flooding, building down on a vehicle, debris, large tree down, multiple branches covering the road. So Bowie really got hit pretty hard, looks like. So a lot of flooding, a lot of wind damage in that area. Well, by the way, on all these radar images, you're seeing a split screen. So one is what you're used to looking at most of the time, which is reflectivity, meaning the heavy rain. Split screen on the right is the wind field, so I can look at the winds, see how strong they are, and to see what their orientation is. So in this configuration, orientation is like this, meaning outflow, straight line winds. It does have inflow into the storm such as this, however, it's not a tornadic type situation. It's more of a linear shear configuration of just elongation. convergence. So not a tornadic situation, which is good. All right, for now anyways. Keep an eye on it. And that's still heading toward Gainesville. All right. Let's see. You can read a couple of you guys' comments on YouTube. You're welcome, Mary. How's Tulsa doing this evening? Enid is out of power from those winds. Well, I don't know if that's today. That must have been from the winds from last night. Still. Blake, lost your voice. Oh, yeah, probably still on your end. So, storm states are down there. Had some tornado damage in Bowie. Yeah, like they did get hit pretty hard. So Poland wants to know if Arkansas will get tornado warnings into the morning. No, but for the next couple of hours, you still might get another one. But you're suffering from the same issue that eastern Oklahoma has, which is very light winds in that area. It just makes it really hard to get a tornado. All right, let's go. What else do I want to do here? If you guys don't have it, take a second, download my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. It's on Apple and Google Play. Doesn't cost you a thing. It predicts tornadoes before they actually happen. Now, I don't know if you heard me correctly. That's pretty cool. So in other words, before a tornado warning is issued from the National Weather Service, my app will alert those that have it that a developing tornado is occurring. It'll give you an extra 10-15 minutes lead time before that other warning even comes out. So you can seek shelter much faster that way. Oh, I know what I was going to do. It's called AT's Weather to Go, but you can just search for AT's Weather and you should be able to find it. Okay, a lot of lightning with the storms down south. All these little plus icons on the map, those are all strikes within the last 20 minutes. I mean, it's a heck of an electrical storm. Hail still up around 2 inches in diameter. Let's take a look at the winds. Okay, of course that would do that to me right when I switched over. Let's try this. Radar's having a tough time getting some decent data on that storm coming into Alvord. Got a lot of wind potential up around 60 to 70 miles per hour. So there's a 70 there. 71, 72. So some straight line wind damage with that one will still continue as it travels east of Bowie. And again, they had some pretty nasty events that happened in and around town. All these little question marks all represent a report. High water, structure damage to buildings, windows blown out, ongoing flooding, on scene of a building down on vehicle, people inside. Not sure inside which one. Highway signs down, multiple trees down. Severe mobile homes completely destroyed. The 100 block of Riley in St. Riley Street in Bowie. 2-inch size hail, flash flooding, wind gusts over 60, wind damage. So, up North Texas, Bowie just got hammered with all kinds of stuff. Probably also some really big hail too, still continuing down just south of town. Let's see, hail detection there, 2 inches in diameter. So that's a big storm here in North Texas that continues to go on through. All right, let's go back over here to eastern Oklahoma. Let's see if these storms have done anything different. So the Red Oak storm continues to fall apart. Literally, it's weakening. We got a new storm out here in Quinton. Just a thunderstorm though, no big deal there. Nothing western Arkansas to be concerned about. This storm here still has a hook echo on it, but it's always had a hook echo. It just never produced a tornado. That could still change though. So don't let your guard down. Keep an eye on this one if you live out here in western parts of Arkansas. It's running right along the Petite Jean River stream, or Pettit Jean River stream, and State Highway 23, kind of in between those two. Currently right over State Highway 378 and 71. That is where that wall cloud would be. It's got a nice little feeder band structure into it right here, and it still has a nice hook right here. So it's always looked really good reflectivity wise. It just hasn't produced any tornadoes that I'm aware of here recently since it's been in Arkansas. It had a brief one in eastern Oklahoma, and then that was about it, and it may not have lasted more than a few seconds. Okay, so back out here, let's check out the one in Whitesboro. So the deal here with this one, it's got a nice little reflectivity ball on the hook echo, which is usually indicative of a tornado. So let's take a look at some of the data here. So this is not a sign I want to see, but this lowering here of the blue is the cross-correlation coefficient, which correlates with this debris ball. That typically means it's a tornado. That typically means that a tornado is doing damage. So this right here correlates to this. So let's see what else we have in that area. It's got a low ZDR as well. Non-existent KDP. That's, I think, an issue with the beam data drop. I'm not getting much in the way of the velocity data, which is very interesting. And you usually got to have a good velocity couplet with that, otherwise that violates the order. Okay, so there is a little bit of one here at 4,900 feet. At the surface, though, 3,200 feet. It's the lowest we got. So we're not going to be able to really measure the lowest surface. But let's go ahead and treat this as though it is a tornado and it is causing some damage. Now earlier it was over some trees. It still is. So what that radar would be detecting would be a lot of these trees it's going through. Looks like there may have been either the construction site. Yeah, it didn't like a farmhouse. It was like a construction site there. So a construction trailer kind of a deal. Otherwise, still more trees. So thank goodness that this is happening in an area that is not populated. Now this is north of Whitesboro, so this is, let's put this back on. Let's do this. So about 2 miles northwest of Whitesboro is where this potential tornado is located. Around the north end of County Road 4580, where it comes to a dead end. And there's County Road 249. So kind of between those two areas along those tree line is where that would be located. With the new data, let me see if we still have a darkness, and we do. Alright, so let me still load ZDR. I'm going to show another radar view, some more data. But I believe there's a tornado here north of Whitesboro, about 2 miles, and it's lifting up a lot of those trees. That's what it looks right now. Let's see, let's go to Fort Smith. And we're going to shift this one also. Okay, so let me look at the so it still looks like an indication to me that we have a tornado that's lifting up a lot of trees out here north of Whitesboro, about 2 miles. I'm looking at dual pole variables to match them up. That's the only storm in the state of Oklahoma that is of any danger. I'm going to probably do a vertical analysis of this. I need to see this way. Couldn't have been a very strong one with those indications, though. Let me try this. Big storm, almost 60,000 feet tall. Pretty good hell core. Good reflexivity structure. Nice little beware there. It's just really really lacking in strong data. So there is a report of a tornado. Just got this in from a storm spotter. Spotter is 2 miles to the east of Whitesboro. He sees it on the ground. So he's probably on 63 looking north. It's just not on any roadways right now. So here's Highway 1. So it's south of 1. So strange. I'm used to seeing tornadic signatures much stronger than this in the other data components. To see one that has a couple but not the rest on a confidence level is usually not that great, but it is what it is. So we've had a visual confirmation, at least in the dark, of what appeared to be a tornado. Radar indicated a potential, at least some debris getting kicked up at one point when it was about 2 miles north of Whitesboro over the tree area. So the velocity data, though, never actually looked impressive, and that was the strangest thing I think I've ever seen, because usually you got to have strong velocity data. My only guess is because of the radar situation, it might be experiencing a little bit of blockage and weakness in power returns, but that's me just looking for a reason. Let's see here. So whatever was originally there has transformed, is no longer there. The look is over. The hook echo that was producing that debris ball and everything is gone. So it's cycling. Let's see. This update came in a few minutes ago. Tornado warning continues to be in effect until 10 for Southwestern Leflore County. Severe storm capable of producing a tornado located 3 miles northeast of Whitesboro, moving east at 25. Tornado and ping pong ball size hail. So no communities given because there are no communities in the path. It's now mostly just a broad mesocyclone, and we'll have to wait and see if the hook can reestablish itself. We're at 2,600 feet, so we should have had some really good data at this point. And strangely enough, we just didn't. I've never seen what appeared to be a debris ball without a decent velocity couplet to go with it. Strange to me. It's got spectrum width, it's got everything else. Alright, so that was earlier. That look has since gone. It's going to have to reorganize and see if it can do something differently. So we shall wait and see. Let's do this. Moving east at 24. Radar indicated at this point there's been no new spotter counts. This is that spotter icon earlier. Randy Kennedy said that he saw a tornado about Paranorma turnout close to Highway 1. And that was about 8 minutes ago. That was back when I still had that good look to it on radar. So this is north of the town of Muse, which doesn't show up on my map, but it's due north of Muse. Okay, so it's recycling here. So there's a new warning out for it that was issued just now. Tornado warning continues for southeastern Leflore County and southeastern Oklahoma until 11:30. Radar indicated a severe storm capable of producing a tornado located 3 miles north of Muse, moving east at 30. Tornado and golf ball size hail. Radar indicated rotation. We have Heavener again, and Heavener Runstone State Park in Hodgen. Or Hogan. No, it'd be Hodgen. I looked that town up too. Alright. So that will be putting it into Arkansas after that. So what I'm thinking right now is I'm thinking it was a weak tornado, but because it went over those trees, it had plenty of obstacles to pick up, and that's what caused the debris ball. And it wasn't strong enough to loft it very high. I looked at the elevation slices, and I couldn't see that debris ball going any higher than the surface scans. So that's what my thought is initially, looking at the data and how things evolved. So it was over a non-populated area, trees, weak, lasted for a few minutes, and that was it. So the new potential developing tornado here would be still along Highway 1. It's kind of paralleling the highway, but it's just south of there. It's like a mile south. of 1 currently between there and County Road 221. So it'll eventually coming up along Highway 59, or 59 and 259 come together. That little split. It's kind of making a line toward that area. But that's going to be another 10 minutes before it gets there. Alright, so again, on any tornado situation, if you find yourself in the path of this one, it's always the lowest part of your building. It's in the center, away from walls and windows. Bathtubs are good, bathrooms are good, staircases underneath those are good. You know, anything that's kind of centralized. If you don't have anything central, it would be a strange floor plan, but on a home, you could always go to probably the north section of it, northeast or northwest. Alright, so this is intensifying a little bit more. Wait a minute. No. It's on the back end. It's anticyclonic on this end. If you're in a mobile home, you got to leave. You can never ride out a tornado in a mobile home. Those things are not made for tornadoes. I wonder if Muse shows up here. So it's getting that ball look to it again. Probability of a tornado is now up to 35%. Oh, and then dropped back to 21%. Alright, let's check population area, heading toward Page. Still over trees and nothing but trees. Excellent. Trees as far as the eye can see. Excellent, excellent. So in this case, the only negative until it gets to Page is that if anything were to happen, it kind of running right along Highway 1. So if anyone is on the roadway at Highway 1, that becomes a problem. If they're driving right into it, it's dark, they can't see it, it's hilly. Let's see, I don't think this gave any... No. Like sometimes on interstate, they'll give the mile markers on here. But that's not going to be the case here. Alright, so again, we're watching a tornado warned storm here in far eastern Oklahoma, heading toward Page. Check on that Dallas activity down there real quick. So that storm has lost a lot of its severity. I mean, really weakened. Good. I think it gusted too far out ahead of itself. That's this little fine line right here. So it's like a mini cold front. Let's see, let's do this. Kind of like that. So the air rushes out ahead of it, and it can't pull it back in, so it kills off the updraft a little bit. So let's let them stay weak. Alright, so back here in eastern Oklahoma, just the data does not look all that impressive still for the velocity side. No indications there's anything on the ground. Even spectrum width's behaving itself, so at this point I would not expect a tornado out of it, but as always it's a tornado warning, so you never want to discount or discredit or dismiss those. Any of the above, any of those D's above, always seek shelter. We'll see if anything changes out of this. Let's see. It has kind of more of a broad look to the mesocyclone. Kind of goes in like this, kind of curlicue, right? And so this is the center. And so if I were to center this up on the center of that, with the center of this, with the velocity data on the right, so you'd be looking like this. But it's very broad, nothing's tight. And then if you look for any debris signatures, which would be blue, they're not. Everything in here is red and orange. So we're just going to sit here and watch it, see if it does something. It would not be visible, so if there was a storm chaser on here, he wouldn't be able to see anything. It would be rain wrap. So as a reminder, you can watch this coverage. This is in 1080p, so you can put it on your big screen at home. You can either pull it in through the YouTube app from youtube.com/Aaron Tuttle OK. That's my YouTube channel. So you can pull it in that way. Facebook also now has the app built in, so you can watch live Facebook stuff that way. You can Chromecast it, Mirrorcast it, Aircast it, you know, from your device. You can do it that way. That way you don't have to watch on your little phone or your tablet if you don't want to. So once this gets a little bit more east, and it hasn't done anything, I'm probably going to let it go and in the broadcast. So it would be the last tornado warning that's out there anywhere. Anyone that's expected. The look of everything else is becoming disorganized. So this is the last chance of anything happening, and it's not wound up all that good. But it's got the only potential left, so I'll hang with it for a few more minutes. So the short-term radar model continues to indicate that these storms will work through the Fort Smith area and into western and central Arkansas between now through about 2 o'clock in the morning, kind of become more linear and line out into a cluster, which is kind of what that storm complex is doing in northern Texas. It's more of a cluster lining out. So all that limits tornado potential quite a bit. And it also means the storm should continue going overnight. Winds out here are still pretty anemic, calm to around 5 knots. And again, that's why that storm is having a hard time producing a tornado. So you can also tell how a storm is getting weaker by looking at the cloud tops. The cloud tops, where they get really dark red, indicates very tall. When we looked at that vertical look on the radar, it's up around 60,000 feet. But you can see how they disappear the last few frames. Like here's a good one there, and then it's gone. So these guys here, going good, then they kind of disappear. So these cloud tops are warming just a little bit at the higher elevations. Means they're taking on a different structure to them. So less supercellular and more multicellular. So rather than one column just going straight up to the moon, literally, you're going to have a bunch of little towers going up, and neither one of them can be that dominant huge tower anymore. And that's how it kind of starts to line out into that cluster of storms. All right. Let's see. Is there a new run of this, man? 18Z. Nope. Okay. So this guy here, tornadic circulation is over County Road D 4710 and 214 and 214th Avenue, a little split there. That's about a mile west of 59. Coming up on Black Fork and passing the north side of Page. This is also 6 miles north of Big Cedar. Big Cedar doesn't show up on my map, but it would be right around here somewhere. Big Cedar should be down there. If it shows up here. I can't show every town. They don't all show up. It's funny. So it'll be crossing over the state line at about 11:07. That would be the tornadic part of the storm. Alright, we're still just watching to see if another tornado develops out of this. There are no indication that one has been present for a while. Storm's done a lot of cycling and just being more broad in its wind field. Again, I think the main reason for that is because the wind fields are so weak at the surface feeding into the storm. You get an east-southeast wind at 5 knots. It's just not enough to get a tornado going. So we'll hang a couple more minutes, see if anything happens the next few scans. It's really wrapped up pretty tight in this area right here. So if it was going to try to do it, it'd be in that spot. That's coming up on 200th Avenue that reaches into US 59. And you would not be able to see it. It would be rain wrapped. No indications are that it's doing it, and no damage. So kind of, a lot of times you guys watch me I'll say it is very hard to get a tornado. I mean, you have to have perfect ingredients. So this is a good example. We've got a lot of ingredients, but we don't have them all. We're missing the low-level winds. And that's sometimes all it takes. And everything else could be there, and you remove that one component, and it throws the whole thing out of whack. And it's the difference between having 4, 5, or 6 tornadoes tonight and having maybe 1 or 2. That's kind of how it works. So when people forecast tornadoes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in advance, it's all garbage. Because this kind of stuff they will never see. Sometimes not even until the day of. So that's why it's sometimes not even, for a few hours before the event. So in this case, we look at the wind shear. Wind shear had plenty of direction with it and had nice increase in speed with height. This is about an hour ago there. This is from the Fort Smith radar. But the problem was it was only 10 knots at 1,000 feet and 15 knots at 2,000 feet. You'd really like to see those at 20 to 25 knots, really, to be honest with you. And there was some weakness there. Even here's 20 knots, 15 knots at 5 and 6,000 feet. So there's the wind's just a little too weak, even the mid-levels, to get a good tornado going in this environment. And of course, the very, very surface winds. Now we're not at 1,000 feet, but actually where we live, they're from the east at 5 knots. So the direction was there, the speed was lacking. You have to have both speed shear and directional shear. You miss one, you get a completely different outcome. So this storm is kind of just falling apart, and it's losing all of its properties that made it once robust, scary-looking supercell, and now just becoming a standard thunderstorm. Some hail, lightning, and gusty winds. So the weakness is evident from the radar hitting the mountains. The radar's here. Where does it show up on the map? Yeah. There. As we go through here, the power splits the storm in half right here at the lowest tilt. So the beam energy is getting blocked by the mountainous terrain here. So it's trying its best to fill it in, but it's a lot of weakness here. And that disrupts the outcome of how the storm looks on the lowest tilt to the radar beam. Because the radar beam goes one tilt at the lowest level, which is usually about a half degree from zero. So if you have 0 degrees and this is 90, you're at 0, so you're just going a half degree. You're going to go, 1 degree or 2 degrees or 3 degrees, whatever the volume scan is. It'll go up by degree increments until it gets up to around 60 degrees, and then it'll go back down to 0. So on those first couple of tilts, it's running into a bunch of terrain, so it's blocking that beam. I actually have a pretty good way to visualize that. I could pull up Google Earth and show you, but I don't think that's necessary. It's just a good strong mesocyclone. It's a good hailmaker right now, and I don't think it's going to produce a tornado. I think those days are over. The warning will continue until 11:30. It'll be out of Oklahoma though here in about another 10 minutes or so, as far as the mesocyclone circulation area. Still moving east at 30. All right. I didn't even eat dinner tonight. Oh. I got busy. Busy working. Alright. I gotta go eat. Let's see. I'm just not seeing it. That's a good thing, though. You don't want me to see it. Yeah. Alright, this is not going to produce another tornado. It's just not going to happen. And that's fine with me. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys watching tonight, and you guys leaving your comments and stuff, and on YouTube. You guys are pretty active over there. Every now and then I take a peek. Yeah, it's been a pretty quiet May overall. Let's keep it that way. We'll still have some more storms again tomorrow. What is today? Friday? Saturday. So we'll have some storms Saturday. Probably a little cluster in southeast Oklahoma, and get another cluster out across the eastern Texas panhandle. And then some of those may drift into the state in the evening hours. Models differ as whether or not they hold together or if they fall apart. So I'll look at stuff in the morning and give you a forecast update then. I didn't really have a lot of time to investigate it, the model data here tonight. We took a brief look a couple hours ago, went at 9:30, somewhere right around there, and it was all garbage. So when that's happened, I got to spend a lot more time to give you the forecast of how things ought to pan out. And I didn't have time to do that covering these things, so we'll do it tomorrow. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get me some food and some R&R. You guys have a great evening. Again, have a great weekend. We're still going to have some storms to deal with, but you can still squeeze out a lot of dry weather throughout the weekend, holiday weekend, so make the most of it. Thanks again for watching tonight. You guys be safe. We'll do this again soon. Don't forget to get my weather app. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It's Apple and Google Play. And you can always visit my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com, for a lot more information, all my social media links, blogs, all kinds of weather data. So check it out. All right, you guys be careful. See ya.